Hello, it is Wednesday, May 18th at 6:26 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to my video journal. I'm Mitch Miller. Today we're going to be talking term limits. If I'm elected President of the United States of America, what I mean by term limits. So, I'm not just talking term limits. I'm talking if you sign up, run for elected office, if you sign up for public service as an elected official, you will be on financial probation for the rest of your life. You're writing laws, you're an elected official, you're a lawmaker, you're writing laws that put people on probation sometimes for the rest of their lives. Now you may say, and I would agree with you, someone that commits a murder, if they are eventually paroled out of prison, should be on some kind of probation or parole for the rest of their lives. Okay, I can agree with that. But you have victimless crimes, drug offenders, that are on probation for 20 years. You have, and here's an even better example, because everyone thinks drugs are evil, I guess, even though pharmaceutical companies are allowed to operate and their executives aren't put on probation for doing crazy stuff like the Sacklers and stuff. Here's another example. You have a new phenomenon. You have the computer age, you have the internet, and you have hackers, right? But you also have tech companies and software companies and hardware companies, computer companies that are too big to fail. And they're written into our country via these lawmakers. They allow these companies too big to fail, these technology companies, to gather all kinds of information on individuals. And the individuals, we have no choice. They provide the service for us that we find essential to our lives now, because we're told that's the way we have to live our lives, is online, is on computers, the convenience. So we willingly give up all kinds of personal information to these companies that are too big to fail. But you take a hacker, an individual, if they go looking up people's bank accounts to prove that they're corrupt, if they start gathering information on people to see how corrupt they are, to see what type of transactions they do, those people, those hackers, can be arrested and barred from computer usage for the rest of their lives, or put on probation to monitor their computer usage for the rest of their lives. So, my point is that if you sign up to be a public servant, an elected official, not people that work for the government, but the people who are elected into office, who have the real power, you are going to give up some of your privacy for the rest of your lives, and you're going to be put on financial probation for the rest of your lives. So term limits, we're going to have 2 terms. You have 2 terms to get done whatever you think you're going to get done. 2-term limit. If you get elected to just 1 term, you still qualify for a government pension for the rest of your life. So you will be taken care of if you can live modestly. You get elected, you qualify for government. But if you want that pension after 1 or 2 terms, if you want that pension, you have to comply with financial monitoring. So if you're an elected official, you and your spouse's bank accounts will be monitored. If you open new bank accounts, they will be monitored. And what I'm suggesting here as President of the United States is that we will have a joint task force between the FBI, the SEC, the FTC, members from all of those, and possibly even the CIA, because people hide their money internationally, a task force that investigates federal Congress people and their finances. And this is a model. What I'm suggesting here is a model that if we do it in the United States, then that means other countries can model themselves in this way, and the corruption within the government can cease to exist. So, if you're elected to office, your bank accounts will be monitored. You, the elected official, can only receive your official salary for the period of your term or 2 terms. Your spouse can legally make however much money they want to make, as long as it's squeaky clean tax-wise, which will be investigated. If they can make as much money as they want at a job. They cannot receive gifts, and I believe there's some legislation already in place about receiving gifts and things like that. What I'm talking about is Swiss bank accounts, Cayman Island bank accounts that elected officials get access to 5 years after they're out of office. So that's what we're worried about with the term limits. So that's why you're monitored for the rest of your life. You can receive the salary that is given to you by the taxpayers. Now you can still receive campaign donations. We're not going to do campaign finance reform. I have plans for that. The Periscope platform is one. But what we're really focused on are large cash promises for services rendered to lobbyists and to corporations. Large payments, large gifts given to them in offshore accounts. That will cease to happen because every congressperson will be monitored. You're on probation for the rest of your life. You can, after you have left after your 2 terms or your 1 term, you can collect a government pension, but you have to submit to financial monitoring for the rest of your life. You can continue to collect a government pension and work as a CEO of a large corporation if you wanted. You could make $1 million a year or $10 million a year and still collect your pension. Just that company is going to be investigated to make sure that they pay their taxes and that your salary is taxed at the rate that it is supposed to be taxed at, that you pay your taxes in full. Now, what I cannot deter is companies making promises that when elected officials, if they vote the way these companies want them to vote, that they will be guaranteed jobs on the boards of multiple companies. So an elected official is no longer in office. They sit on 5 or 10 different boards of different corporations that they pass legislation and bills to help and collect hypothetically huge sums of money. What I will say is that I do not believe that elected officials should be able to sit on any boards of companies while they're in office. They should only collect the salary that they're guaranteed by the taxpayers. They should not be able to trade stock. I agree with that. And they should not be able to own a business in Washington, D.C., like Donald Trump owning the Trump International Hotel, where he could have had armies of lobbyists in there at all times making backroom deals with his Republican cronies. Now there could be a limitation. If you wanted to own a hot dog stand in the park in Washington, D.C., that's one thing. To own a huge $375 million hotel in downtown Washington, D.C. and be the President of the United States, that's a conflict of interest. Owning a lobbying firm as an elected official, conflict of interest. So we're going to look at these things on a case-by-case basis. And I'm going back to sitting on multiple boards because you were promised those positions as an elected official if you voted a certain way. I don't know how to deter that. So all we can do is make sure everyone's paying taxes. But we can publish it to the Periscope platform. We can say, all these Democrats served their 2 terms and now work at nonprofits. And all these Republicans served their 2 terms and now they make $8 million a year sitting on multiple boards. The Democrats make 6 figures in a nonprofit. Whatever they make. So you can compare who is more corrupt in this system. Who's in it for the money? Who's in it for the public service? I'm in it for the public service. I have no problem being monitored financially for the rest of my life after serving as president. So that's the gist of it. I'm going to try to write up this document to put on my Mitch for Mayor website. I'm going to write up the term limits and what else I am trying to do as far as financial responsibility. And I haven't worked out all the kinks yet. It's all still floating around up here. But that's the plan. I'm going to run on that. And if I'm elected President of the United States, that means I have a mandate to see it through. And it means that politicians, elected officials, are tasked with making this happen. Or I am tasked with making it happen by assigning a task force to do it. I can be the example, and then everyone else can be compared with my example, I guess. So that's the gist of it. Yeah. It's the end of corruption. Like I said, if we do it in this country, then if we give foreign aid to other countries, we can say you have to adopt this type of government regulation for your elected officials. They cannot have offshore accounts. They cannot open offshore accounts while in elected office. They cannot access an offshore account 5 years after they're out of office. No more payoffs. No more corruption. You make what you make because that's what you were elected to do. You're serving for the people, not for corporations. And yeah, so that's my term limits package. I'll type it up and release it after the midterms when I announce that I'm running for President of the United States. Thanks for watching, and join me tomorrow when I talk about something else.